It must be Thursday.
We've moved to Thursday, Rob. It's
It is
Thrive with Jason
and Rob. Pat's nice to meet you. It must be Thursday because it just feels better. You got to thrive on Thursday. You were thriving on Wednesday. Who thrives on hump day?
better.
It does. This feels completely better. Now we do have some shows coming up where we'll be back on Wednesday. We're not going to warn you. That way you may watch both days.
So be aware. Pay attention.
It's like being weather aware.
Yeah.
This last week, I kid you not, this last week has been like the most I would say anxious I've been about weather in a very long time. For those of you that don't know, I own a radio station in Alabama, and of course we had the terrible weather outbreak. They say one of the worst in history as far as number of tornadoes generated. And it was crazy. Thankfully, everything was safe. Unfortunately, of course, had loss of life in Missouri and Louisiana and Mississippi and in Alabama. All of those states had loss of life, and we pray for all of you that are recovering or going through that. And then yesterday we had the excitement, and here in Ohio, and it actually started about 5:00 last night. It's still rolling through. Every once in a while it gets really dark, and I go, I wonder what might be happening out there. And we're dealing with some weather. And then they had snow in Minnesota, my home state. Did you see that?
I did. Well, it does snow in Minnesota,
Good night.
You'd think it'd be done by now, but it doesn't. Yeah.
No, it's almost spring. Nope, not quite yet.
Yep.
It's
not just like in eastern Colorado, we had blizzard warnings. So
it is crazy. So, of course, it is March, almost time for spring. And one of my favorite things to happen. Now, I love the Super Bowl. You and I talked about that. I love the Super Bowl. Not as much into the World Series. My wife is. My wife is, of course, a sports person, and she loves baseball. So World Series more to her. And we both love hockey. But right now is maybe for any person that loves sports, maybe one of the best times as we have March Madness. And now it hasn't technically, it's just started just now. So technically, Jason and I can't talk about our brackets yet because I don't even know Jason's bracket. No, it did. It went live. So I picked. So I'm going on the record now, and this is. It was one of those things. I didn't pray about it because I didn't feel that God really cared. But I was like, I like Duke. Man, that flag kid, he's scary. But I went with Florida.
Oh, come on, Rob.
I went with Florida. I like Duke, and I'm probably gonna lose, and I'm okay with that. Just was a gut minute thing. It was kind of like when you buy something at the store and you go, "Oh, I really like this," and you get it home and you go, "Why did I buy this?" Like, what was
buyer's remorse? See, I'm going on record. I did go with Duke.
They are awesome.
Yes. I went with Duke the whole way. They haven't shown any weaknesses in the past couple months, Rob. It's just been looking really good for him, and I think they're going to be take it.
Cooper Flag, I think is his name, and I may be wrong on his first name, but Flag is his last name. The guy's from Maine. He reclassified so that he could play this year. He's supposed to be a senior in high school.
Rob, I do have a question. Since I know your favorite holiday is Flag Day. Why would not you pick Duke with this with the last name of Flag?
That was why. That was kind of a hard thing. I was like, I can't. Oh, I could do this. I so could. So be watching weeks to come as we cry about our brackets and decide. I assume sometime this weekend mine will be completely shot. I'm hoping for
the first round.
Yeah. I had a year a few years ago. I kid you not. It was about, I think it was 3-4 years ago. It'd be 5 years ago, 2019. So I did my whole bracket thing with a whole bunch of my buddies because this is what we do. And literally after weekend one, I had nobody in the final four. I had really bad picks that year. And I literally had people texting me and laughing if I had done it in my sleep, which I may have. So,
well, awesome, Rob. Well, we have a couple really cool guests today.
We
That
do. It's gonna be a really neat
a
day.
couple authors, a couple ladies that are just amazing in what they do, and I can't wait to get into chatting with them. Hey, maybe they've done a bracket.
That we need to ask. They both need to be asked if they, and if they didn't, if they did, who they're picking, because
Yeah, just
we've
make a
we've
team.
got Florida and the Dukies right now. But see, I really, as a Christian, can you really cheer for a Blue Devil?
Yeah,
I'm
that's a
just
good point. Good
saying.
point. Yeah.
That was off the top of my head, ladies and gentlemen, because we don't script anything here.
Well,
So
we do this live, so yes,
yes,
we did not plan on that one.
no.
Oh man, it's a day, Rob. As you know, I do a decent amount of travel. I know you do as well. So I'm coming, as you see, from a different background today. I don't have my brick wall in the back, so I'm out in California today, actually.
You are. You're out there hanging out with. You're in Northern California, though.
I'm in
So
Northern California. Yes.
you're not getting the palm trees in the sun. You're getting more probably the allergies of the
Very true.
farmland.
Very true. Still gorgeous
Yeah.
up here. It's gorgeous there. There was a few palm trees when I walked around yesterday, but it's still, I'll
It's
be back
not.
home next week.
There are no palm trees in Colorado. So just
No,
so you know.
there's not. The only palm trees you're going to see are on the decorations.
Hey, listen, let's get into today's show. I have followed this lady for a while. I'm going to let Jason do the introduction, but Misty is somebody that I've followed and have been so impressed with her success. And I just was excited when we got a chance to have her on the show.
Yeah, she's awesome. Rob, our first guest today is Misty Phillips, a best-selling author, speaker, and founder of Spark Media. She's passionate about helping Christian creatives amplify their voices through podcasting and digital platforms. Her latest book, Spark Your Influence, which we're going to talk about today, empowers believers to boldly step into their calling and make an impact. Please welcome Misty Phillips. Philip,
Hey,
not Phillips.
Philip. Yes. Everybody wants to put an S on the end. I guess they just want more Misty. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. So I did realize that. So I wanted to correct myself when we first started. And
So
your
did you,
hat,
Misty, before I leave, did you fill out a bracket?
No, the only way that I even knew that it was basketball is because yesterday my son came down to go to church and he was rocking his dad's old school Akeem Olajuwon. And I was like, why are you wearing that to church? And I was like, oh, it's March Madness. So there you go.
Well, see, it even affected you. Well, awesome. Well, good to have you on. I do love the hat. I know that a lot of the pictures and things. I need one to protect this here at some point, so I might have to talk to you about that. But
Yeah,
man,
you and
with
my
your new book,
husband are rocking the same hairdo. So
well, we share Gillette as our barber. So
yes.
well, good to have you on the show. You're an author. You do a ton of different things. Introduce yourself here to the audience.
Yeah. So, Misty Phillip, I am a wife and a mom and a lover of Jesus. And God radically changed my life and called me to do some amazing things. So, I started a media company that after 5 years, I just released that, surrendered that to the Lord so that I can go work in the tech space with my husband in his advisory services firm for AI and cybersecurity, which is a totally radical change. But in one sort of last exclamation point and act of obedience to my season of Spark, I released my book that I've been working on for the last 5 years. So that's me kind of in a nutshell.
That's amazing. And your book is called Spark Your Influence. It's all about stepping into your calling. So, what inspired you to write it, and what's the biggest takeaway that you hope readers get? And I'm going to throw a picture up while you're talking about that of the book here.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I started writing this book when I launched the very first Spark conference that happened 3 weeks before the pandemic in 2020. And I started working with a lot of women podcasters and particularly amplifying their voice. And I saw some common themes and struggles, and then just me and my own leadership journey and the things that I went through that were a challenge to me. And I just kept writing down, all of the things that were happening and just saw that when we're obedient to the Lord, God does so many amazing, far beyond what we can imagine. But sometimes people are held back by fear. And so wanted to address some of those things. I wanted them to know that it doesn't matter what they do, whether they are working in the home or outside of the home or wherever they are. First and foremost, they're sons and daughters of the King, right? And so our identity is a problem that culture has. So that's where I start the book, is like your firm foundation is in Jesus Christ. And then
Yes.
from there, we talk about our gifting and our talents,
Mhm.
our time and how we steward that, and goes all the way through. And the end of the book talks about legacy and what are the things that you are doing today that will live beyond you. And so I think that we are living in an incredible time on the kingdom calendar, and that that God has amazing work for us to do, and he is using women particularly in this hour. And so I talk about that. I talk about our biblical models of women who have gone before us and have done amazing things. And this
Mhm.
is not like, I'm woman, hear me roar. This is like a submitted posture to the Lord, a surrender to the Lord, and out of obedience to his call on our lives to share the gospel and to encourage other people to do the same.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And I want to kind of talk about Spark Media, because you
Yeah.
built Spark Media to equip Christian creatives. I would like to hear about that journey as we get into Spark Your Influence, do a little bit more on the book. But talk about Spark Media, because how can believers like effectively use digital media, to help share their faith, grow their platforms, all of these things. But tell me that journey.
Yeah. So in the fall of 2019, I had
Mhm.
released my first book, The Struggle is Real, but So is God. I had started my podcast, and I just knew there was a better way to do it than just constantly creating content in a vacuum on my own. And so I was like, hey, let me get some friends together and build a community. And so that's what I did. So that first event, like I said, was literally 3 weeks before the pandemic broke out. And we had 150 people in this small hotel space. We were standing room only. Everybody was high-fiving and hugging. And and then, the world stopped. But the really
Yeah.
cool thing about that is God had prepared all of the people that were there with new connections, with new fire in their soul to reach the lost through podcasting. How cool is that, that I can sit here in the comfort of my home or wherever I'm at, and I can speak into a microphone and I can tell people about
Hmm.
Jesus, which is the Great Commission. But then also, podcasts became the new platform during the pandemic. When church doors were closed, people
Hmm.
could still talk about their faith, talk about Jesus, and really inspire and encourage others. And so I spent a lot of the pandemic holding the hand of several podcasters who didn't always know what to post when we had unrest and all of the different things. And I said, look, y'all, if you are called to podcast, it doesn't matter who's president, what's going on in the world. We serve King Jesus, and we need to be steadfast in our message. And so we got through the pandemic, and then I started looking to solve problems in the industry. So
Hmm.
for podcasters starting out, once you have all the equipment and you know how to do all the things, you've got your message of your show and you know who you want to reach, you're like, where are my people? And so I
Yes.
started working on ways for people to find their people. One of the things I did was I started a magazine called Spark Media, right, for the creatives to write in. But then also I worked with a lot of Christian women who wanted to be authors as well as podcasters. So it gave them a publication to write in, and really just helped with that. Then we built the Spark Network, because the
Hmm.
next thing is monetization. Okay, I've
Yes.
done all these great things. I finally have some people following me. How do I make some money doing this? And from there, we did a collaboration with KHCB Radio. So we
Hmm.
had a stream, we had shows on the stream. And so it's just been an incredible journey, and hosted several conferences every year, virtual events, all of the things. And it was going amazing. Except for in 2023, I started to burn out doing all the things myself. And my
Yes.
husband said, would you please quit and come work with me? And it took me the next year and a half to let go of my baby that God had built. And I wanted to make sure that I was being obedient to and not let it go too soon, but also wanted to love and serve my husband. So That's what I
completely.
did. Yeah.
Understood completely. A lot of our audience, they may be called to create, but fear holds so many people back in this, especially when it comes to podcasting, getting their stories out there, talking to people, getting on something like this to where we can have discussions with other people. What advice do you have for those struggling people? Whether they're struggling with that imposter syndrome or doubt or any of that type of stuff.
Yeah, so we address all those things in the book, and what I say is just do it. God is the best collaboration partner in the universe. He's the creator of the universe. He called you to be a creative, and you don't have to know how to do all the things. You just have to step. We hear in the word that there's like 365 days that say do not fear. 365 days worth of do not fear in the Bible, depending on the translation that you read. But did you know that the word go is in the word over 1,500 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's by faith they went, right? By faith, Abraham went. By faith, these people, and it's go therefore into all the world. So I think that we need to be activated with that word go, right?
Oh,
Don't
agree.
allow fear to hold you back. Go, and then as you go, God goes before you. He is with
Yes.
you, and he will never leave you or forsake you. And he is your very present help in times of trouble. And so as you step, we don't always have the whole path laid out for us, right? That'd be crazy. And I think it might scare some of us.
That's too easy. Yeah.
Yeah. But God is so good that he just gives us enough light to take
Mhm.
to take the next step. And so I think I would just say, just do it. And the really cool thing is the word overcomer in the Bible, where it talks about we need to be overcomers, is Nikeo, which is Nike, which the
Yep.
slogan is just do it.
Just do
So
it. Yep. Mhm.
just do it.
No, I love it, and that's that first step forward, right? It's taking that first step on your long journey. Don't be afraid. God's with you. He's walking next to you, and just pray and make sure that you're doing things the correct way. But take that first step. I love that. Just do it,
Yeah.
Rob. Just do it.
Hey, they'll know that and Misty, that is so true. In so many things in life, you talk to people and they'll sit and plan stuff, but they won't do anything about it. So, somebody may be out there and they're contemplating whether it's writing a book or being on a podcast or starting a new career. And a lot of times you just got to do it. You just got to get off that moment. You can plan all day long, but sometimes you got to put it in action. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Misty, it's been great having you on.
Hey, give the
Yep,
there we
we'll
go.
throw the QR code up there again, mistyphillip.com. You can check everything out there, from everything she's doing with Spark Media, her book. Go out there and get it. It's an amazing book. Go out there and spark your talents to get out there and do a podcast. So, Misty, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. This has been so much fun.
Rob.
Yes.
Misty is awesome. Her book is amazing, and she has great choice of hats.
I was Googling hats like Misty. It does not come up, just in case Misty's wondering. She is safe. She owns all of the rights to that if she wants to get that. I was like, I Googled while I was in the background. Because, for those of you that don't know, behind the scenes, I'm actually doing the production side of the show, so that we look actually somewhat smart. And now this next lady that we've got coming up, she's not just somewhat smart, she's really smart. While Jason wasn't here yet, I got to talk to her, and it made me feel again how slow I am at times.
well, our next guest, she is very smart, Rob. Kim Moeller, the host of Generous Girl and the San Diego area director for the National Christian Foundation. With over 2 decades of experience in corporate consulting and ministry leadership, Kim is passionate about generosity, faith-based impact investing, and helping others steward their resources wisely. She also works with the Impact Foundation, supporting givers interested in a bunch of different things. So, man, Kim, great to have you on the show.
Oh, it's great.
Wait, before Kim says, we got to ask this question. Did you fill out a bracket?
Well, guess what? My kids went to big basketball schools, so I love March Madness. I've got a kid who went to Alabama, so I can't root for
Roll Tide.
And
Roll Tide.
A couple of kids who went to UCLA, and then the last one went to Gonzaga. So I don't
think.
Oh
wow, yeah, all big schools.
Schools is the winner, but at least.
So who did you pick then?
Houston. Maybe Houston will win this year.
You think Houston? Well, they're number 1 seed. Yeah, maybe, right? Rob, Kim knows her stuff here.
No. Well, then I should have picked Houston in Florida.
Well, Kim, great to have you on the show. I know you're all about giving. You've done a lot of different things in your past with wealth transfer, with giving, with National Christian Foundation, with your book and your podcast. You're an author as well. Introduce yourself to the audience. Let's hear some things about Kim. Maybe somebody doesn't know.
Sure. Thank you so much for allowing me the privilege of being here. And yes, I'm all about helping people maximize what God's given them. We know that God owns it all, and we are simply stewards. So how can we maximize our time, talents, treasures for the kingdom? So one of the things that I love to do is my podcast, Generous Girl. And what I love about that is I'm a connector. And before podcasting, it would just be me and the person over coffee, and I get to hear the person's story. And now I get to put it out there. And it's so fun to hear people's comments about once they hear that individual story, how much it meant to them. And, I loved listening to what you and Misty were talking about, because honestly, the goal of that podcast is to take the next step. You're unique. You have a unique calling. There's no one like you. And so whatever it is that God's asking you to do, take the next step. And the podcast is all about like how generosity is interwoven in 5 areas: faith, family, fitness, finance, and friendship. We focus on 2 of those pillars. And then I have these incredible women who I interview, and they're, thriving now, but at some point they were barely making it and through a hard time. So I always want to make sure that they share that story as well, so that the listener goes, wow, if Kay Warren could get through that, I can take the next step in my life with my colicky baby, or I'm taking care of my elderly parent, and not be paralyzed. Or like you talked about fear, just not be just so afraid that we do nothing, but instead just take that next step. And I guarantee you, God will go before you and he'll bless you. So that's awesome. The job side of my life is helping people with the National Christian Foundation, with Impact Foundation. It's basically taking your dollars and giving them into a donor advised fund, and then choosing if you're going to grant them out to nonprofits or if you want to do impact investing with those dollars, and helping people really make a difference with what God has given them to steward. It's a I love
totally different, right? Yeah. Something that people don't necessarily even think about on this. We always think about, our tithing with churching and the churches and everything is this. Well, the National Christian Foundation is another piece of that can be, given to multiple different people, multiple different companies, multiple different ministries. I know you've talked, like we had a discussion the other day about the, $80 trillion wealth transfer happening. I'd love for you to touch on that, because it's very significant.
Yes.
And then also, I know one of your favorite things is, I've heard you say this multiple times, you can't outgive God.
Yes.
So I'd love to kind of hit both of those points with that.
Okay. Well, the great wealth transfer, for whatever reason, God has chosen that there's about $80 trillion that will be going to women. And a lot of these firms out there, the Merrill Lynch's, the Charles Schwab's, the Fidelities, the organizations like the National Christian Foundation, we are trying to position ourselves so that we can help women whose parent passes away, and now all of a sudden they're entrusted with this wealth that they didn't have. So what can we do to help that woman understand? There are advisors to help them. There are ways to maximize your charitable giving. And it's just a super exciting time to be alive, because who knows what God is going to do with these resources when we hold them, open-handedly. So in terms of you can't outgive God, I was in college. I went to school in Los Angeles and was on 3 game shows. They were pilots. They're much easier to get on than it is to get on, a real show like Jeopardy. But I won some incredible prizes. And basically out of college, I joined Cru, Campus Crusade for Christ. I was going to need to raise my support, didn't know how I was going to do it. And through the last game show, All-Star Blitz, God provided everything: my master's degree, a car, trips to Jamaica.
Wow.
I know. And that was my lesson of, wow, like here I was with the scarcity mindset of how am I going to raise support? And he just came in and blew me away. And I think it's just been ever since then that test of just try, like, see if you can outgive him. And I've never met anybody who's been able to, and I certainly haven't been able to myself. So it makes life a lot more fun.
Yeah, I love that. It just sticks. Like, you can't outgive God. You really think about it. There's nothing you can do to do that. And you can try and try and try, and you'll never be able to do that. So being a steward of his money, being a steward of his resources that he gives you, that is incredible. I love that. That's something I carry forward, that I'm going to carry forward even out of this conversation. Is you can't outgive God. You keep continually try, though. So I'd love to talk about the National Christian Foundation, the
Yes.
Impact Foundation. I know
Yes.
you touched on these pieces. The donor advised funds, impact investing. How do these tools help Christians maximize their giving?
Oh, such a great question. And I also want to make sure I call out the third organization, which is called Women Doing Well, because
Yes.
we're talking about women with the great wealth transfer. And that organization, if a woman is listening and she doesn't understand her 2-word purpose statement, go to their website, womendoingwell.org, and sign up for an online group, or maybe there's one local where you live. But that's going to help you figure out, were you designed to inspire hope, cultivate greatness, empower significance? Whatever that is, it was always hard coded in your DNA. Your passions might have been in college. You were passionate about helping the homeless, and now it's anti-trafficking. That can change. But then thirdly is your plan for generosity. What are you going to do with how you're wired uniquely, how God has made you, and take the next step? So that organization is foundational for a woman who doesn't know kind of how to get started. So then once you're ready to, take your money that you want to tithe, or even above and beyond that, we have the Rick Warrens who live on 10% and give away 90%.
Yep.
You can work with the National Christian Foundation. There are chapters all around the country. You open a donor advised fund, takes about 5 minutes, ncfgiving.com/California. And that's like your own charitable checking account. And you'll see we have 90,000 organizations on the platform. I can't imagine not having that checking account, because when I work with my every year, our tax advisor, can you give me your statement? Boom, I hit one button. All my giving, my husband's and my giving is listed there. And so you can stay in that lane and just give to any nonprofit, on our platform. And then the question about Impact Foundation is, what if I want to take those dollars and invest in something like Masaka Creamery, which is over in Rwanda, and they have like 85% of their employees are deaf. And it's this incredible organization. And so you can take your charitable dollars, invest in that for maybe 5-7 years. Any returns that come back into your impact investment account, you have more to give. So we're helping people at all different levels of wealth steward this money and do what God has put on their heart. I'm simply in this role, Switzerland neutral. I just help any organization that we can with that conduit. I'm like a conduit where I help the funds get from A to B.
That is amazing. So I know you touched on Women Doing Well. But we get into that and how women can go into their calling. Give us that website one more time for that, and then also the National Christian Foundation.
Absolutely. Okay, so womendoingwell.org, and then you can go to ncfgiving.com/California and impactfoundation.org.
That is amazing. Kim, this is really cool. You can't outgive God. Man, Rob, you can't outgive God, buddy.
My dad used to preach that from the pulpit all the time and live that. My mom and dad lived that.
Love that.
And I loved hearing that this morning, and it made me smile. Hey, listen, we appreciate
Rob on the Witness Protection Program there.
Yeah, I call this the Witness Protection Program, where I'm actually
the best place to find Kim here. This is her podcast for Jennifer Girl Podcast. Come check that out.
That's jennisgirl.com. I should have told that website. Sorry.
jennisgirl.com. There you go. Well, it's been great having you on the show. I love what you're doing with the National Christian Foundation that we've talked multiple times. And keep up with the good work. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Kim.
Love what you're doing as well. Thank you both.
Thank you, Kim. Man, we got rid of Jason. How did we do that? We got rid of Jason. Sorry, Jason. I didn't mean to do that.
As Rob just said earlier, that you're producing this. See, you came on camera.
Yeah, there it is. I go brag about my production, and then I get rid of Jason. So, or maybe that was on purpose. I don't know.
There you go. See, live TV. Hey, Rob, you know what we forgot to say?
Yes,
I got my shirt on, buddy. He is king.
You forgot the code. I mean, goodness.
It's been up on the corner the entire time. So
there you go. Hey, go and support us. It helps with supporting what we're doing with Thrive, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Man, it's been a great addition again, and we want you to go out and thrive.